Hi, I'm Bob.
I'm Sherry.
We've been married for almost 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be 28 years in about 3 weeks. I've known each other for about 29 years, a little over 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
We met in March. We got engaged in July, and we got married the following April. That was 29 years ago.
Hi, my name is Maria. My last name is Salehpur, and I'm married to Kamyar Nuri. I keep my own last name because in my culture we don't change last names.
How many years have you been married?
I've been married to Kamyars for 24 years.
My name is Aubrey Maldonado, and my husband's name is Josh Maldonado, and we've been married for a year and 6 months.
What is the most important thing to make a marriage successful?
I believe trust, respect, communication is very important, and spending time with each other and giving each other the space sometimes is very good and healthy. And make sure that you share the same vision for your futures and your
I think
plan.
being able to laugh at ourselves, laugh at myself, and then laugh at my wife. Not too often though, because I get in trouble for that. But being able to laugh at myself, communication is really huge in the little things, just things we do every single day. But more than that too, being able to communicate heartfelt feelings, and when feelings are hurt, and when feelings aren't about hurt feelings, feelings are happy, and what makes us happy.
I think it's understanding. I think it's being willing to give of yourself. I also think it's not all the time, but making the other person important in your life.
Making their needs as important as your own.
Yes, that's what I meant. Your needs are as important. His needs are as important as my own needs, and I try and make sure that we're both getting our needs fulfilled.
When's that going to start? I'm just kidding.
And I think the sense of humor too. I really do. I think you have to be able to laugh and at things in your life and be able to um, not take everything so serious and be able to enjoy being together and enjoy conversations and things that happen uh, along the way.
I think it's to put Christ first, because without Him, we're incredibly selfish creatures, and to make a marriage work, you can't be selfish.
Why do you think so many marriages fail these days?
Go ahead.
I'll go first. I think lack of communication is a big thing. Not being able to talk to each other and not sharing your thoughts and your feelings. And if Bob were to do something that hurt my feelings, and we don't talk about it, and then it builds and builds and builds, and then the next thing, something small like him not putting his socks in the hamper every day, I'm just saying something small like that could end up being like, oh my gosh, like the thing that, just that if I had communicated to him, hey, can you please put your socks in the hamper, it wouldn't have become such a big thing. So I think just daily communicating and talking about things.
I think communication also is a huge part of things, and truly about the little things, the little hurts that occur. But I also think that people get married for the wrong reasons. I think that sometimes they're very young when they get married, and they don't understand truly the commitment of marriage. I think that if you're dating and you don't like something that happens, it's easy to say, well, I'm not going to date that person anymore. But when you're in a marriage, it's far more, there's a much bigger commitment. And I think that people sometimes get married because they like the dating process, or they like that they were dating,
Or they think they should,
but
maybe.
sometimes they think they should.
Yeah.
And the other aspect is that people evolve, people change, people grow. Sometimes one person in the relationship outgrows another person or grows in a direction that the other person can't tolerate or isn't willing to be open to that growth and that change. And so when they grow in different directions, not necessarily opposite directions, but just different directions, and they're not communicating about their growth and what they're feeling about those things. And if you have a very specific ideology about what it's supposed to be, what marriage is supposed to be, without really being open to change and growth, then I think you can get trapped in a situation where the relationship grows in completely different directions. And
I believe sometimes people they rush into getting married because their friends are married or family pressures them to get married. Sometimes people they have to spend time to find their own identity, to see what they like and what they don't like. And when they find a partner, they would make sure that their partner shares the same goals as they do, or likes or dislikes or habits. And sometimes the biggest thing that makes people's marriage to fall apart or they go separate ways is the financial situation. Financial, it brings pressure in everybody's in their lives, and they argue a lot, and argument creates separation. They want to go different ways, they don't want to deal with it. Or sometimes people, they don't respect each other as much as they should. They take each other for granted. And I believe sometimes kids, you have disagreement, an argument, how you want to raise your kids. And all this stuff sometimes causes people to go separate ways.
I think because of the same thing, like they don't put Christ first, or they don't have Christ in their marriage, and when it's just based on like our flesh, we when it's just our flesh, like we think marriage is like, oh, how is my spouse making me happy and serving me, and we look out for our best interest. And so once we start feeling not satisfied from that person, that's when it fails. But when we put Christ first and follow what Christ says about marriage, which is to serve your spouse and put them above yourself, that's when it works. So I think that's why so many fail, because so many of us forget to put Christ in our marriages.
Do you believe divorce is wrong? Why or why not?
Well, it all depends on the situation. Sometimes when you are in a very abusive relationship, getting out is better than staying in. But usually I don't think they should get divorced before they find a solution for their problem. If they cannot find a problem and situation gets uglier and uglier, it's healthier to go apart.
I think it depends. I think the Bible says that it's valid if there's infidelity. So I think in that case, I think divorce is okay because someone has broken the vows. But other than that, I don't agree with divorce if there's just differences with people. That's gonna happen.
What advice would you give to newlyweds?
Patience, patience, patience. When you get married, you need to spend quality time with each other, have fun with each other, compliment each other, and be patient with each other. Never, never insult each other, even as a joke.
advice I always tell the men is learn this term, boys. The term is yes, dear. Because it doesn't matter, no matter what, you're not going to win, you're not going to be right. The best thing is to just say yes, dear, and go along with whatever she says. And it usually works out pretty good. Now, on a serious note, I think what I really always like to tell them is the yes, dear thing. That is a pretty serious one. But also about laugh at yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. Have a sense of humor. Make things fun. And communicate. And if you have trouble doing that, see a shrink. They'll help you learn how to communicate effectively.
I agree with everything he says, especially the yes dear part. I think that
29 years. I learned it early.
I think that's very true. I really think it's spending time with your partner and communicating with your partner, trying to understand them, laughing, and making time for each other. And I think that just making that person important in your life is what I would say.
When two people create a union, I think it's sort of a misnomer that two people become one person. I think what it really means is two people create one goal. Two people create one life. Two people create one direction. Each person has to share in that direction, has to keep that direction, has to focus on that direction. But I also think it's important to spend some time away from that. Have some separate things. Oftentimes those separate joys and fun things that you do bring you closer to the other person. I would never want my wife to come to the golf course with me. And I'm sure she would never want me to go scrapbooking with her. But the love that she gets from doing that, when she comes home and when she brings that stuff to our relationship, it fulfills her. And that in turn fulfills and adds to our relationship.
Again, which is super repetitive, to put Christ first, but to have grace, because it's a learning process. And when we first got married, like, I just realized how self-centered I was and how every day I operate just like, okay, what do I need today? What do I want today? And when you get married, you become one person and you have to think as one, and that's really hard to do. So just have grace for yourself and for the other person, and to have fun and not let the little things get in the way, you know, like little differences, like how you put things in the kitchen or whatever. It's like, don't let that stuff start fights.
Okay, this is your extra credit.
Oh,
Okay, let me see. So like for like each marriage, like there's a point where they're like, oh, he's the one or she's the one. So like, what was your moment like that you realized that?
gosh. Well, we were long distance when we first started dating because I was going to school out of state. And I knew I liked him, but there was one day where we Skyped for like 6 hours, and I don't normally talk that much, and he later said, like, after that conversation, he was like, you have to be the one because I can't talk to any other girl for 6 hours.
Said that to you?
He didn't say that in the moment, but he said it later, like looking back. But yeah, I think it was just through those Skype calls, like, he was just so easy to talk to. We could just talk for hours, and
is there like a specific moment when like you realized that he's the one? Or is it just like through, or is it just like through all the like small details and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was
You know.
kind of like over a little bit of time. Like when it was really early on, to be honest, like when we started Skyping, because we went on a couple dates over a Christmas break when I came home, and then I went away to school, and I knew I liked him, but I didn't know if he was.
So it's
like,
more
the
like
one or
building
not.
up from time to time.
It kind of built up, yeah.
Okay.
Once we were Skyping, and it started to become really quickly, like every day if I didn't Skype him, I felt weird. Like I needed to see his face, I needed to talk to him, and so, yeah, I did have that feeling of just knowing it was weird. And I remember asking my mom in the past, like through dating other people and stuff, and asking her, like, how do you know it's the one, you know? And she was always just like, you'll know. And I was just like, oh, that's so annoying. But then when it happened, I was like, it was just, I knew, like, yep, he's the one.
What has been your favorite part about marriage?
Having a great partner, being able to share my interest, and spending quality time, and having a wonderful child like you.